Have you ever felt that you are different from everyone else, but you cannot explain why? Have you ever walked into a room, said nothing, yet the atmosphere changed, as if your very presence made something in the air tremble? If you have ever felt that, then maybe you are one of the chosen one. Not because you are perfect or stronger than others, but because long before you understood this world, a sacred mark had already been carved into your soul. The chosen ones always carry within them a light that is unlike any other. But that very light, ironically, also makes them a target. Others, maybe your friends, colleagues, even family, sometimes cannot understand you, and they begin to test you, to touch your energy as if it were just a harmless little flame. They do not know that when they reach out, they are touching fire, the fire that God has placed inside you. And that fire never cools. It does not burn to take revenge, but to purify. Every time someone tries to harm you, they do not realize they are stepping into a dangerous game, a game whose rules only the heavens understand. Some people think that if they suppress you, push you down, or speak ill of you, they can make you fall. But they forget that you are not a stone. You are a seed. And when a seed is buried, it does not die, it grows. I have seen that in people with souls like yours. They were betrayed, deceived, and isolated. The whole world seemed to turn its back. But then, in the darkest night, something within them began to move. A life force that no one could extinguish. A calling that could not be ignored. As written in Psalm 105:15, "Do not touch my anointed ones. Do my prophets no harm." That verse is not a threat, but a reminder that some souls are covered by a divine light. To touch them is to touch the will of heaven. Sometimes, you do not notice that protection. You only feel like everything in your life is falling apart, as if no one is on your side. But if you take a step back and look closely, you will see something strange. Even when everything around you is chaos, there is always something holding you up. An invisible hand, an opportunity that appears just in time, a word from someone that awakens you. You might call it luck, destiny, or grace. But truly, it is the hand of the one unseen. The chosen ones are never ordinary. Since childhood, they have felt the world differently, deeper, more sensitive, sometimes more painful. They cannot stand falsehood. They cannot live with what is wrong. That is why their lives are often full of storms, because they were born to awaken others, not to live in comfort. And the interesting thing is, those very challenges are the proof that you belong to something greater than yourself. When others plot, lie, or wish to harm you, they do not realize they are planting seeds of their own destruction. You do not have to do anything. Those plans will collapse on their own, not because of revenge, but because this universe runs on a fair law. The energy you send out always comes back. Whoever sows darkness will have darkness return to them. Maybe not fast, maybe not in the same way, but it will. I know, sometimes you ask, why do they do wrong and still live in peace, while I have to suffer? But one day, you will see something strange happen. Those who once hurt you begin to lose something, their faith, their peace, or the light in their eyes. And you, even while struggling, start to shine from within. Because darkness can only win when the light goes out, and the light in you has never gone out. You may not see it, but feel it. Every time you want to give up, there is a warmth that spreads through your heart, helping you keep going. That is the reminder that you are chosen, not to live easily, but to live meaningfully. Not to win every battle, but to become proof that light always exists, even when everything around you is dark. And if you notice, all the chosen ones share the same sign. When someone touches them with ill intent, it is that person who gets hurt, like touching fire. Not a burning fire of destruction, but a sacred flame that burns away all that is false. Those people do not understand that they are fighting something they cannot see. The chosen ones do not retaliate, because they know this battle is not theirs. It is the battle of divine justice. One day, you will understand that you do not need to prove anything. You only need to stand still in your light and let the universe do the rest. And just like that, every plan against you will fall apart, not because you won, but because it cannot exist in the presence of truth. If you are hearing this and feel a strange stirring in your heart, a mix of peace and emotion, then maybe that is your soul recognizing an ancient call, a call that once echoed from far away. Do not be afraid, you are chosen. From that moment on, you no longer need to seek anyone's approval. Because grace does not need to be proven. It only needs to be lived fully. And if someone tries to touch your light with evil intent, remember that they cannot harm what God has protected. They are only burning themselves in their own fire. The fire within you will keep burning, not to destroy, but to guide. And one by one, people will begin to see that you are not just an ordinary person. You are the living proof of heaven's promise that light can never be extinguished. There is one thing you need to know. This universe operates with laws more precise than any clock. No action, no thought ever passes without leaving a trace. Every energy you send out, whether good or bad, will always find its way back. That is not an abstract idea, but a living structure of the unseen world. The ancients called it the law of cause and effect. Those who believe in God call it divine justice. No matter what name you give it, its essence remains the same. Energy is never lost. It simply returns to where it began. When someone lies to you, slanders you, or plots to bring you down, they believe their actions will lead them to victory. They do not know that in that very moment, they have tied a rope around their own neck. Every harsh word, every dark thought is like a stone thrown into the sky. Sooner or later, it will fall back, and it always falls on the one who threw it. The chosen ones like you do not need to fight back, because the power that protects you works in ways the human mind cannot understand. It is silent, but precise, and when it acts, nothing can stop it. I know there are times you feel tired of enduring hurtful words and doubtful looks. You think that if you are kind, people will treat you kindly. But light always makes darkness uneasy. When you walk into a place, simply being yourself makes falsehood tremble. They do not understand that feeling. They only feel disturbed, and they try to attack you to calm their fear. They think that by hurting you, they will feel stronger. But no one can win through darkness. In Psalm 37-28, it is written, "The Lord loves justice. He does not forsake his faithful ones." That is a reminder that you do not need to fear injustice, because heaven is never silent. Even when you see nothing happening, the divine law is still at work. It is never rushed, never delayed, but always precise. Sometimes it takes days, sometimes years, but when energy returns, it comes back with tenfold power. And the miracle is, you do not have to do anything. Just stand still, keep your faith, keep your heart pure, and let the universe do its part. I have seen many people like you, gentle, honest, and taken advantage of. They were pushed to their limits and believed their kindness was weakness. But somehow, those who once mocked them began to lose what they once took pride in, the trust of others, their job, their reputation, even their peace of mind. Not because anyone cursed them, but because they destroyed themselves with the energy they had created. Like someone who poisons a river, only to drink from it later. Many believe that God's justice means revenge, but in truth, it means balance. Every evil act tips the scale of energy, and divine law simply restores it. Like the wind, it blows stronger where things are uneven. Like a river, it finds its way back to the sea. That balance is not meant to punish, but to teach every soul its lesson. And for the chosen ones, this protection is always present. You may not see it, but around you is always an invisible shield. It is not made of stone, but of energy, of light, of ancestral prayers, of the grace you carry from one life to another. When someone tries to destroy you, that energy does not disappear. It reflects back, sometimes gently like a breeze, sometimes fiercely like a storm, depending on the darkness they send. But the result is always the same. They are consumed by their own energy. Have you noticed that in your darkest moments, something always pulls you back from the edge? A sudden phone call, a friend who appears, a door that opens at the right time. Those moments are not random. They are signs that you are being watched over and protected. The chosen ones are never alone on the battlefield. They are surrounded by unseen forces. Call them angels, spirit guides, or simply grace. Those forces do not stop the storm, but they make sure the storm only makes you stronger. And the most beautiful thing is this: every pain you have ever felt eventually turns into strength. The words that once made you cry become lessons that make you wiser. The people who turn their backs help you recognize who is true. That is the miracle of the law of return, turning harm into blessing, turning pain into light. The chosen ones do not walk through darkness to be destroyed, but to learn how to turn darkness into fuel for their journey. Sometimes you may feel that justice comes too late, but trust, it always comes right on time. When others think they are winning, they are only building the energy that will make them fall. And when the truth is revealed, it always shines with undeniable clarity. In that moment, you will no longer feel anger or hatred. You will only feel compassion, because you will understand that they were never fighting you. They were fighting themselves. When you understand this, you step out of the circle of revenge. You no longer need to prove anything. You only need to live truthfully, love sincerely, and trust that every energy you send out will return as a gift. That is why the more the chosen ones suffer, the stronger their light becomes. Because each time they are hurt, they do not harm in return. They turn it into a lesson, a prayer, a light. And the universe, witnessing this, always returns to them 100-fold. Remember, nothing is ever forgotten. Every tear you have shed, every moment you chose forgiveness over hate, is recorded in the book of heaven. And when the time comes, the door you thought was closed will open. No scheme can stop what has been destined for you. The divine law of return shows no favoritism. It does not need your defense or your explanation. It only needs your heart to stay untainted. For a pure heart is the perfect vessel for light. And when that light spreads, it not only protects you, it awakens the souls around you. So keep going. No matter how misunderstood you are, no matter how many challenges await, keep walking. Because every step you take leaves a mark on heaven and earth, the mark of resilience, the mark of faith, and the mark of a chosen soul. In a world where everything reflects back, your light will always find its way home to you, brighter, stronger, and impossible to extinguish. There are days when you wake up and feel your heart heavy, as if the air around you is thickened, and people look at you with strange eyes. No one says a word, but you know something is moving in the dark. The whispers, the sarcasm, the cold attitudes, all seem to align, pushing you out of the circle. The chosen ones often walk through this feeling, not because you are wrong, but because your light reveals the darkness in others, and they cannot bear that reflection. In those moments, you may feel the urge to react, to explain, to defend yourself, to prove that you are not what they say. But I want you to take a deep breath and remember, you do not have to do anything. Every time you rise to defend yourself, you are playing by their rules. But you have your own law, the law of light. There, truth does not need noise to exist. It only needs time. How many times have you escaped a situation that seemed impossible to fix? An accusation that almost cost you everything. Then suddenly something happened. Someone spoke up for you. A piece of evidence appeared. A truth was revealed by chance. Do you think that was coincidence? No, that was the invisible shield at work. Psalm 91:4 says, "He will cover you with his feathers, and under his wings you will find refuge." When those words were written, they were not just a symbol, they were a promise. That shield is not magic or mystery. It is the energy of honesty, of faith, of a heart untainted. When you live true to yourself, that light radiates around you like protection. Others can feel it, even if they do not understand it. Those who are kind will feel peace near you, but those with ill intent will feel restless, even uneasy. That is why they try to attack you, not because they hate you, but because your light forces them to face the part of themselves they try to hide. Do not let your kindness become a burden. You do not have to save everyone. You do not have to make everyone like you. Your mission is not to be loved, but to be true. And in truth, sometimes you must stand alone. But standing alone does not mean being lonely. Because when your heart is steady, something miraculous happens. Every dark energy aimed at you bounces back. You do not have to strike back. You do not have to seek revenge. The universe itself will turn things around. I know this may sound like a fairy tale, but look back at those who once tried to hurt you. Where are they now? Are they at peace? Or are they still running from something? An invisible restlessness, a cycle of chaos that keeps repeating. It was never you who punished them. It was their own energy returning. You are only the mirror, and in your mirror, truth never lies. Sometimes, God does not stop the storm. He lets it pass, so you can learn that you can stand through it. Each time it happens, the shield around you grows stronger. Each time you choose forgiveness instead of retaliation, your light shines brighter. That is why the more you are tested, the more powerful your energy becomes. Not because you are good at enduring, but because you know you are protected. And that strength does not come from effort, but from faith. Psalm 37:28 says, "The Lord loves justice. He does not forsake his faithful ones." Sometimes you do not see him act, but that does not mean he is absent. He stands in the storm, keeping you from being swept away. You may not hear him, but if you quiet your mind, you will feel him. Through the sudden peace that appears in chaos, through a small intuition that leads you away from danger, through moments too perfect to be coincidence. And in the midst of those trials, I want you to do one thing: share your light. If these words touch your heart, leave a small sign, a comment, a share, a simple tap of love, not to support me, but to affirm that you understand, that you too are on this journey. When you do that, you are not only sending a signal to me, but to the universe, that you are ready to stand in the light, ready to be guided, ready to trust that you are protected. Imagine the invisible shield around you as thousands of tiny fragments of light. Each time you believe, each time you love, each time you choose silence over revenge, one of those fragments glows brighter. The more fragments shine, the stronger your energy becomes, and no darkness can pierce through. When you walk with an open heart, you carry that wall of light with you. You do not need spells or complicated prayers. You only need faith, and that light will always stay with you. So if today you feel tired, misunderstood, or as if the world has turned its back on you, remember this: there is a shield around you, woven from ancient promises and unconditional love. No one can see it, but every soul can feel it. And those who come with love will be warmed by your light, while those who come with harm will only find themselves lost in their own darkness. You do not need to fight. You only need to stand still, believe, and let the light within you do the rest. Because when your heart is in the right place, the universe will always stand by your side. There will be moments when you ask yourself, why do they hate me so much? You did nothing wrong. You simply live honestly, seek peace, and do what is right. Yet someone still tries to pull you down, speak badly about you, spread doubt, or even hope to see you fail. You look around and cannot understand, but there is one truth every chosen soul must eventually realize. They do not truly hate you. They hate the reflection of themselves they see in you. The light within you is like a mirror. When they look into it, they do not see you. They see themselves, the things they have lost, the dreams they abandoned, the parts of themselves they fear to face. Your presence reminds them that once they wanted freedom, they wanted to live truthfully. They had dreams, they had faith. But when they forget who they are, the light in you makes them uncomfortable. And to ease that discomfort, they choose to attack you instead of healing themselves. I know it sounds unfair, but you must understand. They are fighting the darkness within their own hearts, not you. They think they are hurting you, but in truth, they are cutting into their own souls. Every lie, every cruel act is like swinging a blade at a mirror. They do not realize that when the blade touches light, it bounces back and wounds them instead. Psalm 7:16 says clearly, "The trouble they cause recoils on them. Their violence comes down on their own heads." That is not a curse. It is a law of the soul. No one can sow darkness and harvest light. When someone tries to humiliate you, they invite shame upon themselves. When they spread lies, they teach their tongue to speak energy that will return and destroy their own peace. You do not need to wish them punishment. The universe does not need you to take revenge. Everything is already in motion. What people call karma is not punishment, it is awakening. They will learn the lesson, not because you want them to, but because their soul needs it. It may take time, sometimes years, for them to realize. But when they do, they will remember you as a light, as someone they once fought but could not defeat. And in that moment, they will finally understand what divine justice means. The chosen ones are not meant to retaliate. You are meant to reflect. Your light does not fight with words or actions. It fights through presence. Keep living truthfully. Keep doing what is right. Keep your heart pure. That is how you win. Because when light meets darkness, there is only one outcome. Darkness must retreat. Let me make this clear. You do not need to prove yourself. You do not need to explain away their lies. People believe what they want to believe, and that is not your concern. Your only task is to keep your light from being dimmed. Every time you react with anger, you weaken that light. But when you choose silence, your light grows stronger. There is a strange power in silence. When you do not respond, their energy has nowhere to cling. It bounces back. Every plan, every insult, every scheme falls into emptiness, then returns to where it came from. That is why sometimes all you need to do is stand still. Just breathe, smile, and trust. The chosen ones share something in common. They are often misunderstood, but the truth always reveals itself. It may come from an unexpected moment, a simple conversation, or even from the mouth of the one who lied. Because truth, once carved in light, can never stay hidden. You may not realize it, but each time you forgive, each time you stay calm, you add another layer of protection around you. Like water flowing around a stone, you do not resist, yet you still prevail. Because time always sides with the flow. Darkness may be loud, it may be fierce, but it cannot last. Your light, even if small, will always make it fade. I want you to remember this. What others do to you does not define you. How you respond is what reveals who you are. If you can stay kind, if you can still pray for those who hurt you, then you are already one step ahead. Because in the world of the soul, only those filled with light understand that hatred is a prison and forgiveness is freedom. And one day, you will look back and see that everyone who stood against you was only a tool in your growth. They helped you see how powerful your inner light truly is. They helped you learn how to stand firm without being understood, how to love without being loved back, and how to believe without needing proof. When you understand that, darkness no longer frightens you, because you know everything they did, even what seemed to harm you, was guiding you toward a higher purpose. And when that purpose is fulfilled, you will look around and find no anger left, only gratitude for both the light and the darkness, because both helped you become who you are today. There is something mysterious about divine justice. It is never loud, never announced, and never needs anyone to defend it. It arrives in silence, but when it comes, no one can deny it. The chosen ones rarely see the moment justice begins to move. They only recognize it when everything is already done. When those who once spread darkness fall silent, when every lie dissolves like smoke before the wind, you do not have to do anything, because the righteous one has already acted on your behalf. Every time someone plots to harm you, they do not realize they are writing their own sentence. The slander they spread, thinking it will bring you down, instead returns to destroy their own reputation. The traps they dig, believing you will fall into them, end up burying them instead. Psalm 35:8 says, "May ruin overtake them by surprise. May the net they hid entangle them." Those words are not a threat, but an explanation. The universe always moves with the precision of light. What goes out will always return to the exact place at the exact time. Sometimes, justice comes in a form you do not expect. Someone who once hurt you suddenly falls into chaos, losing their job, their reputation, or being forced to face their own wrongs. You may see it, or you may not. But what matters is this: do not rejoice and do not grieve, because it is not revenge, it is correction. Heaven does not strike to take pleasure. It simply restores what has drifted from the path of light. When you understand this, your heart grows lighter. You no longer need to wait for justice. You simply live truthfully, because truth itself is a shield. Lies, no matter how beautifully painted, will always collapse under their own weight. A person can hide the truth from others, but never from their own soul. And the soul, sooner or later, must face the light. How many times have you seen someone who seemed untouchable lose everything in an instant? A great company collapsing, a public figure exposed, a strong relationship falling apart because of the seeds they once sowed. It is never random. That is when unseen justice steps out from the shadows, gently setting everything back into place. And the most beautiful part is this: the chosen ones never need to prove anything. They simply stand as living proof that light always wins. When you choose silence and refuse to fight back, you are opening the door for divine justice to act. If you respond with anger, you take the battle into your own hands, and heaven will step aside, letting you handle it yourself. But if you surrender and whisper in your heart, "I trust you," that is the moment the unseen hand begins to move. You may not notice it, but every detail, every event, every person will be rearranged so that truth is revealed and you are set free. I remember someone once told me how they were betrayed by a coworker, losing their job and their honor. They stayed silent, prayed, and kept living with integrity. 2 years later, the person who harmed them was investigated by the same company, and everything came to light. That person not only lost their position, but had to publicly apologize. "I never said a word," they told me. "Everything simply fell back into place." I have seen many stories like that, and they all share one thing in common. The chosen ones never need to shout to be heard. Truth always speaks for itself. Psalm 9:16 says, "The Lord is known by his acts of justice. The wicked are trapped by the work of their own hands." Divine justice is not a distant promise. It is the heartbeat of the universe. Everything is kept in balance by perfect order. When someone tries to break that order through deceit, they are touching a string stretched by heaven. And when that string vibrates, its echo cannot be silenced. You may think justice is slow, but it moves by the time of the soul, not the clock. When your heart still hurts, when you still want to see them punished, justice will wait. Because heaven's justice is not only for punishment, but for healing. And when your heart is finally at peace, when you no longer hold resentment, that is when justice appears, quietly but unmistakably. Do not fear when others lie about you. Lies only live as long as they are believed. Once the light of truth shines, the lie burns away. Sometimes it burns in one night, sometimes it takes years, but the flame of justice never dies. In every breath you take in peace, in every moment you choose silence over reaction, you are weaving the threads of justice around you. Believe that you are never alone. Justice does not need a crowd to prove itself. It only needs one faithful soul. Each time you trust, a candle is lit in the unseen realm, and darkness retreats a little more. That is how divine justice works, not with thunder, but with enduring light. The chosen ones do not need swords or shields because they carry something stronger. Truth. Truth does not need to shout. It only needs to be. And when it is present, every lie bows down. Divine justice never sleeps. It waits for the right moment to turn everything around. And when it does, you will understand that every pain you endured was only the beginning of a victory song. There will come a time after all the pain you have endured when you will wake up to a strange morning, not because everything around you has suddenly become perfect, but because the pain no longer presses heavily on your chest. You will realize that you no longer want to prove anything. You no longer wish to retaliate, nor do you need to be understood. You just want to live truthfully, quietly, peacefully. And at that moment, you step into a new stage. The stage of ascension. Ascension is not about rising above others. It is about rising above fear, above the need for approval. You are still you, but a different you. Deeper, steadier, brighter. The things that once made you cry now only make you smile. You understand that everything that ever happened was not meant to destroy you, but to make you indestructible. The chosen ones do not win by fighting. They win by rising. Every scheme against them becomes a stepping stone. Every wound becomes a reminder of who they truly are. And when you stop running from your past, it stops chasing you. You no longer see yourself as a victim, but as a witness of transformation. Every scar on your heart is now a window where the light enters. God said in Psalm 121:7, "The Lord will keep you from all evil. He will watch over your soul." These words do not promise that you will never suffer. On the contrary, they promise that even through suffering, your soul will remain whole. You may lose status, friends, or temporary faith, but you will never lose the light that was given to you. It cannot be taken away, only covered for a while, until it shines again when you remember that you are chosen. When you realize this, fear dissolves. You no longer see those who oppose you as enemies. You begin to see them as lost souls, struggling with their own darkness. They cannot defeat you because you no longer play their game. Your game is the game of light, and in that game, there is only one ending. The light always expands. In that moment, a number may begin to appear to you. On license plates, on clocks, in random sequences, 333. Do not think it is coincidence. It is a sign of presence, of guardian angels, of the higher realm gently nodding and saying, "You are on the right path." This number appears when your soul is calm enough to hear and open enough to receive. It is a message. Do not be afraid. We are here. 333 is the number of support, the harmony between you, the physical world, and the divine. 3 times 3, 3 layers of energy, body, mind, and spirit. When these align, everything begins to move in order. even if you cannot yet understand it. You will see that everything that once caused you pain now becomes a platform. Closed doors no longer scare you, because you know another door, a better one, is already opening where you cannot yet see. If you feel a connection with this number, write it down somewhere, in your journal or in your mind, as a declaration that you believe in the unseen guidance protecting you. Share it if you wish, because every time you acknowledge the light, that light grows stronger. 333 is not just a number. It is the language of heaven, a way for the universe to tell you, keep going. You are not alone. The chosen ones are not only protected, they are lifted through the very things that once broke them. When you stop blaming, when you stop asking why, you begin to hear the reason why you are here, why you experienced those trials, why you are still standing. And as the answers unfold, you will see that every event was a piece of the map leading you to your purpose. You were not born to please others, but to carry a frequency, the frequency of honesty, faith, and unconditional love. When you live in alignment with it, you become a transmitter of light. People who meet you will feel peace, even if you say nothing. That is how God works through you, not with grandeur or miracles, but with a pure heart. And one day, you will realize that those you once called enemies were in fact teachers. They made you see the strength of your own resilience. They taught you when to stay silent, when to let go, when to trust. Through them, you learn to love without conditions. And that is the highest lesson any soul can learn. You are becoming the person the universe always knew you would be. Someone who does not need to prove, to argue, or to justify, only to exist. And that existence itself is proof of one truth: light never loses. If you are hearing these words and feel a calm stirring in your heart, that is the energy of 333 at work. It is the whisper from above. Keep walking. You are being lifted. There is no need to hurry, no need to fear. Ascension is not a leap, but a process. Every breath you take, every decision made from faith instead of fear, is another step upward. And as you climb, you will find you no longer need to look back to see who has fallen behind. Because now you understand, justice is not about defeating anyone, but about becoming the brightest version of yourself. Trust that every step you take today, no matter how slow, is leading you toward a greater light. There, every pain will turn into a song, and every scar will shine like crystal. Because the chosen ones are not defined by what they lose, but by how they turn loss into glory. At some point, after the season of tears and silence has passed, you will see something strange begin to happen. The very people who once tried to hurt you start to face the quiet collapse of their own making. Not because you wished for it, not because you waited for it. It simply happens, as naturally as autumn leaves falling. What they once sent out now returns, piece by piece, like soft waves breaking on the shore. And you, once seen as the weak target, now stand in calm stillness, watching the game end without ever lifting a hand. They believed they could control the outcome, that if they slandered you enough, lied enough, hurt you enough, they would win. But they never understood that every word they spoke, every act they carried out, was a seed planted in the soil of their own soul. And now, as those seeds sprout, they bear not flowers, but fire, the fire of regret, of loss, of loneliness. They become victims of the very energy they once released. Psalm 9:16 says, "The Lord is known by his justice. The wicked are trapped by the work of their own hands." Every word of it is an unchanging truth. You do not need to beg for justice, because justice is always in motion. It only waits for the right time to bear fruit. When your heart is at peace, when you no longer wish for anyone to pay, the universe moves. Not to take revenge for you, but to teach them that light cannot be extinguished by darkness. And you, the chosen one, are no longer haunted by pain. You only feel compassion, because now you understand they were never fighting you. They were fighting their own shadows. Every time they tried to drag you down, they sank deeper into the pit they dug themselves. When they lied, they had to remember their lies. When they deceived, they had to live in fear of being exposed. When they envied, they locked their hearts inside the prison of jealousy. The chosen ones do not need to curse or wish harm on anyone. You only need to stand still in the light. Because when light grows strong enough, it reveals everything on its own. They do not fall because of you. They fall because of truth. And when that truth rises from the deepest place, there is nowhere left to hide. That is the moment they realize they were never fighting you, but a force far greater than themselves. When you see that, do not feel pride, feel gratitude, because through them, you learned patience. Through them, you learned how to stay calm when misunderstood. Through them, you discovered that you never need to prove yourself, because truth always does that for you. And through them, you learned the most sacred lesson of all. Forgiveness is not freeing someone else. It is freeing yourself. Along the way, you may have wanted to fight back, to shout the truth for everyone to hear. But then you realized there is no need. Because when God acts, no one can stop him. When he opens the eyes of others, no lie can stay hidden. You learned that you do not need to fight with your hands, only with your faith. Your strength lives in your silence, in your trust, in the way you keep living kindly in the midst of chaos. Sometimes, justice comes not as thunder, but as a sigh. A friend who once believed the lies comes back and says, "I'm sorry, now I understand." Someone who once looked down on you appears again, weary, asking how to find peace. In that moment, you do not need to say, "I told you so." You only need to smile. Because right then, you have become a living witness of divine justice, not through words, but through peace. And soon you will notice this. Those who once united against you begin to turn on each other. They grow suspicious. They pull away, because false energy cannot stay connected for long. Relationships built in darkness cannot survive the light. One by one, they will be brought face to face with what they have done. And that is when their path of redemption begins, not for you, but for their own souls. They will remember you, not as an enemy, but as a mirror. Because when they look at you, they see what they once denied. Honesty, faith, stillness, and that reflection will make them tremble, not from fear of you, but from fear of what they have lost within themselves. You do not need to explain anything. Your very existence has become the lesson. The truth is, nothing they did could ever touch the core of who you are. They may have hurt your reputation, shaken your stability, or stolen your opportunities, but they could never reach your soul. That soul belongs to the one who chose you, and he does not allow anyone to touch it. The more you are tested, the brighter you shine. The more you are pressed down, the stronger you rise. You may not realize it, but every time you choose silence, you rise another step higher, not above others, but above your own fear. Every time you forgive, you expand the space within your heart to hold more light. And one day, when you look back, you will see that those you once called enemies were simply tools that taught you how to fly. When they lit fires of hatred, you became the one who learned to walk through flames unburned. When they threw stones, you built steps. When they closed doors, you learned to make your own way. That is the true ascension of the chosen ones, to turn every wound into a lesson, every attack into motivation, and every loss into a new beginning. And when you reach this point, you will understand. You do not need anyone to bow before you. They only need to see you standing tall. Because in your light, they will glimpse who they could become if they chose light over darkness. You are not the conqueror. You are the awakened one. And simply by living in truth, you are already the proof of heaven's justice. There will come a night you will never forget. A night so quiet, you can hear your own heartbeat. And instead of fear, you feel only peace, not because your life has suddenly become easy, but because you finally understand no storm outside has any power over your heart anymore. You have walked through lies, doubts, and betrayal. Yet you are still here, whole, not because you are strong, but because a greater strength has held you all along. That light, the one you once felt only faintly, is now clearer than ever. It does not come from outside, but from deep within you. When you close your eyes, you see it. A small, steady glow that never went out, even when you thought you had lost everything. You realize that this light is the presence of the one who chose you. And when you begin to believe that, darkness retreats on its own. Psalm 27:1 says, "The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear?" Once, these words were just something you read. Now, they live inside your heart. Each time fear comes, you repeat them, not to push fear away, but to remind yourself that the light has never left you. And slowly you see that divine justice is not only something that happens outside of you, but also within your own soul, where light and darkness meet, reconcile, and become strength. The chosen ones were never promised an easy road. You were promised that you would never walk it alone. Every step you take is sacred, and every tear you shed is seen from above. You may not realize it, but each time you choose kindness over bitterness, another layer of light is added to your shield. The things you lose are not punishments. They are simply the way heaven clears the path for what is meant to come next. Soon, you will notice that the people who once hurt you begin to drift away. Not because you push them out, but because your energy no longer allows them to stay. When the light in you grows stronger, what does not match your frequency naturally falls away. You do not need to fight, prove, or beg anyone to understand you. You just need to live and let the light do what it was made to do. On this journey, a number may begin to appear often on receipts, on clocks, even in dreams. 777. This is the number of spiritual awakening, the mark of those walking the right path toward enlightenment. 777 does not come to make you believe in miracles, but to remind you that the miracle is already happening. Every challenge, every loss, every time you choose to rise again is another level of awakening. When you see 777, pause for a moment, take a deep breath, and whisper within, I am ready for what comes next. 777 is the sign of harmony between heaven, earth, and soul. It confirms that you have passed through the darkest part of your journey, and now the light is opening ahead. Nothing happens by accident. Every trial that once broke you was preparing you to rise higher. You have endured the winter of your soul, and now spring is arriving. Can you feel it? A new peace, strange yet deep, flowing through every breath. Not a loud kind of joy, but the gentle calm of someone who has walked through fire and remained unburned. You realize that forgiveness is no longer something you do. It is something you are. You no longer say, I forgive, because your heart already has. You simply no longer wish to carry the pain, and in that release, light rushes in. Those who hurt you are now learning their own lessons. They are walking through their own darkness, while you, the one they once targeted, have become living proof that light is real. You do not need them to come back or to apologize. True forgiveness never asks for a response. It only asks for peace. The chosen ones are not defined by what they endure, but by how they rise. You are no longer a survivor. You are reborn. Every time you rise after a fall, you declare to the universe that nothing can extinguish a soul that has been chosen. And when you live with that awareness, everything begins to shift. Opportunities come, doors open, new people appear not to save you, but to walk beside you. If right now you feel something moving quietly within your heart, light as a breath yet unmistakable, trust that it is your soul blooming. You do not need to search anymore. Just keep walking in the light. Because when a chosen one stands fully in their light, the world around them begins to shine too. 777. Your mark is not just a number. It is confirmation that this journey was never meaningless. Every loss, every fall, every wound, all were parts of the awakening song. And now, you have reached the crescendo. The moment when your light is no longer hidden, when you understand that darkness was never your enemy, it was the canvas that made your light more brilliant. You no longer need to run from the night, because night is where your light shines the brightest. And when you can embrace both the light and the darkness within, your soul becomes free. No one holds power over you anymore. No word, no lie, no scheme can touch what heaven has already claimed. You have come farther than you think. And now, you are not only the chosen one, you are the bearer of light, the one who walks through the night to make way for the dawn. There is a deep truth that only reveals itself when you have walked far enough on this journey. The justice of heaven does not come to take revenge. It comes to heal. It does not break. It rearranges. It does not destroy. It purifies. When a soul drifts away from the light, the universe does not punish it, gently brings them back, sometimes by letting everything they cling to fall apart, so they can see that nothing is lasting except truth. And you, the chosen one, are the mirror through which that process is reflected. Those who once sent darkness toward you are now tasting their own energy. They wake in the night with hearts racing, unsure why. They look around and see the things they once trusted beginning to crack. Relationships fall apart. Old lies come to light. Everything they built on deceit begins to crumble, not because you asked for it, but because that is the law. When false energy collides with light, it cannot stand. You do not need to act. Justice is already at work. But the most important thing is that now, your heart no longer feels joy in seeing it. You are simply still. You have walked through enough darkness to know that every soul is learning its own lesson. You no longer need them to kneel and apologize. You only need them to see the truth, because only then does the cycle of pain finally end. Forgiveness is no longer a choice. It becomes a natural state of one who understands what light truly is. Psalm 37-28 reminds us, "The Lord loves justice. He does not forsake his faithful ones." And now you see, it has always been true. He never abandoned you, even when you thought you were forgotten. Every tear you cried has been kept, like jewels in the palm of heaven's hand. And when the time comes, those tears will not only become blessings, they will become light to guide others, those who are still learning, still holding on to faith. You were never destroyed. You were refined. The fire did not come to burn you, but to remove what no longer belonged to you. Just as gold shines brightest after the flames, your soul now glows stronger than ever. You no longer fear loss, because you know that what is truly yours cannot be taken, and what is left was never meant to stay. During this stage, you may begin to see the number 999 appearing around you in messages, on receipts, license plates, or even when you glance at the clock and see 99. It is not a coincidence. 999 is the number of completion, the sign that a cycle has ended and a new chapter is beginning. When this number appears, it whispers, "It is time to let go. It is time to move forward." 999 is the universe's way of telling you that you have completed a deep season of learning. You have repaid your energetic debts to the past. Nothing binds you anymore. Those who once hurt you have fulfilled their role. They were catalysts for your transformation, making you stronger, wiser, freer. Let them go. Release it all, the pain, the anger, the unanswered questions. When you let go, you open space for what is new to enter. If you feel a connection with this number, mark it somehow, not as a ritual, but as a declaration that you are ready to walk through the new doorway. Let 999 become the symbol of a closing filled with light, not bitterness, but gratitude. Because every ending is simply a beginning in disguise. What you once feared losing, you now understand you never truly lost it. All that is good only changes form, so it can return to you in a better way, at the right time. And those who once caused your pain, when they have learned their lessons, will also be guided back to the light. For the justice of heaven does not remove, it renews. When you see them drift out of your life, do not cling and do not hate. Bless them, because their departure is proof that your frequency has changed. You no longer belong to the old energy. You have entered the space where only truth and light can remain. And in that space, everything moves differently, lighter, brighter, and more peaceful. You may not realize it, but you, the one who walked through darkness, who kept faith, who held on to kindness, have become a lighthouse for others. They will look to you and find hope. They will see that justice is not a distant promise, but a living reality. Through the way you live, you are proving that light needs no weapon, only steadfastness. And then, when the dawn comes, you will understand. Every pain, every betrayal, every long night has led you here to this place where justice has become light, where your soul is finally free. And in that moment, you will no longer ask, "Why me?" You will smile and say, "Thank you for choosing me." One morning, as the first sunlight slips through your window, you realize that you are no longer carrying anything heavy. No anger, no fear, no resentment. Only a silence so beautiful it feels sacred. The noise of the world fades into the distance, and for the first time in a long while, you hear something gentle, something you once forgot, the voice of your own soul. It does not speak in words, but in knowing, a quiet certainty that everything has happened exactly as it was meant to. This journey, with all its pain and miracles, has never missed a single step. You look back and see that no one ever truly hurt you. They only helped you discover the strongest part of yourself. Those who once tried to bring you down are now only shadows in memory, while you still standing shine. Not because you need to prove anything, but simply because you have become the light. From deep within, warmth spreads outward, touching everything around you, the trees, the wind, the birds. Your heart expands, and it feels as though a voice softly whispers, You have come far enough. Divine justice has finished its work, and now you no longer look outward to find fairness. You understand that true justice lives within, in the way you refuse to let darkness turn you into someone you are not, in the way you chose kindness over bitterness, in the way you stayed still while others demanded a reaction. And that stillness, that silence, has made you untouchable. Psalm 27:1 still echoes in your heart. The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? Now you understand, it is not just a prayer, it is a declaration. When you stand in the light, there is nothing to fear. No person, no situation can take your peace unless you hand it over. And you will not hand it over again. You have learned to guard your peace like a treasure, not to keep it for yourself, but to share it. The chosen ones are not here to hide in the light. They are here to shine within the world, to let their smile give others hope, to let their calm remind others that goodness still exists. Every time you choose love when you could have chosen hate, you are changing the world, even if only by a small vibration. That is your true purpose, not to preach, not to perform miracles, but to live as proof that light is real, that faith remains. And when you reach this point, the number 999, the number of completion, will appear one last time, not as a reminder, but as a blessing. 999 tells you that the old cycle is closing, and your soul is entering a new chapter, one where light no longer comes through trials, but through joy. Your journey is not ending. It is changing color. From fire, you become dawn. From the tested one, you become the guide. If you feel this truth within you, if your heart stirs softly as you hear these words, leave your mark not to be seen, but to tell the universe you are ready. Write the number your soul resonates with most. 333 if you feel guided, 770, 7 if you feel awakened, 999 if you know you have completed one cycle and are ready for the next. Each number is a sacred language, a message from you to heaven. And when you do, know this: you are not writing only for yourself. You are writing for every soul still walking through the night, still searching, still believing that divine justice is real. Your light will reach them, even if you never know how. Because once light is lit, it never goes out. It only spreads. Now, you are no longer the seeker. You are the one who has found. You no longer need to understand everything, because your soul already does. You no longer ask why, because your heart has already answered in the quiet of dawn. Everything that once hurt now turns into gratitude. Every scar becomes a testimony of life. The path of the chosen one was never meant to be easy, but it was always meant to be worth it. Because in the end, you have found not just justice, you have found yourself. A soul tested by fire, shaped by tears, now shining like pure gold in the morning sunday. And as you breathe deeply, letting the light fill your body, you understand this is the freedom every soul seeks. Not freedom from others, but freedom from fear. The freedom to believe, to love, to live as who you truly are, the one heaven has chosen. So walk on, gently, steadily, radiantly. Let the light within you keep flowing outward, touching other hearts along the way. And if someone asks, how do you still stand in the storm? You can smile and answer, because I do not stand alone. Thank you, chosen soul, for making it here. The journey is not over, it is beginning again, on a higher plane of light. The dawn has come, carrying with it the promise that the light within you will never fade. Grateful that you chose to spend these moments in the light of this story. If it touched your soul, please like, share, and subscribe, and ring the bell so the next whisper of light may find its way back to you.